14 years is a long time to wait, but finally John Marston and the epic spaghetti western classic lands on PC. Ported by UK developer Double 11, they've took the lessons learned and basis of last year's Switch and PS4 port to power this PC release, with some PS5 boosts in that post-launch 4K 60BC mode helping bridge the gap to this enhanced PC version. Just what do PC owners gain from such a long wait, and hopefully more than a long face? 4K plus resolutions are available in the menu right out of the box, right up to 144 FPS, improved level of detail, contact hardened shadows, improved shadow map resolution and filtering, improved texture quality, largely via increased 16x AF filtering, and some of these come from that PS4 version and some are above and beyond. Not bad boosts, and compared to the Xbox 360 and even PS3 original, it can present a significant leap up in world density, clarity and detail, whilst also allowing you to appreciate just how far ahead of the industry Rockstar were, and generally remain so, in this vast open world and systemic game. Now, compared to the recent Switch and PS4 and PS5 backwards compatibility version, Double 11 have pushed hard within the constraints of an improved core game render, running with intercepts and updates either at runtime or by proxy replacement. It certainly is the best place to play this amazing game. If you own that PS4 version on PlayStation 5, the leap up is far smaller, but certainly obvious. Now, with that version having a locked 60 FPS mode at 4K, and the PS4 Pro can hit that same resolution just at 30. Even the original Xbox 360 version can hit 4K improved textures on the Xbox One X, albeit again limited to 30 FPS. I covered this version and more of the game's updates last year in our IGN performance review. Now, level of detail is the biggest, with the world draw of trees, grass, rocks and buildings all pushed out significantly over the original and that PS4 version. As you can see in these side-by-sides, this adds detail right out into the horizon, with even far mountains or towns now having far more geometry, foliage and activity in the maxed out PC settings. These can be tweaked in the menu across a range that can improve performance if needed. The PS4 version here is closely aligned to the lowest setting of LOD in the menu, showing how far the team have pushed the draw out, and very welcome it is too. Now, that said, some bugs do remain, with the PS5 actually having higher LOD on buildings at times but lower grass. The PC can also lose some objects, such as the fence in this shot, and these are not always apparent, but does point to some areas of issue with the increased level of detail system they have here. Shadows are the next big leap. Not only do they now have much higher resolution maps than on the PS4 version, but they also have drastically increased filtering. These help to soften the edges with a subtle penumbra of the shadows on foliage, buildings and people. And above this, they also deploy a higher filter, which adds a depth-based filter for dynamic and static objects that tries to emulate contact hardening, which is when the occluder of the light and the contact source, i.e. the floor, growing further apart, such as when a person is standing in the sun. The legs are sharper and more defined. As the shadow goes up across the body to the waist and head, the shadow becomes more diffuse and the edges blur as the umbra and penumbra start to bleed into each other, creating these lovely soft shadows. This really improves on the sharp and slightly unstable shadows the PS4 and PS5 and Switch versions use here, which align closest to low here from the PC, which means PC is getting quite a leap up in visual quality. Now, this is where performance can be impacted, depending on your GPU and CPU. Shadow quality impacts the GPU, and the overall shadow resolution and quality is the biggest. 13.2% going from ultra to high is a decent hit on any GPU, including my RX 6800 here. Medium is a further 2.5%, and then another 1.6 to low. In total, 17.3% is gain going from ultra to low, but the hit is not worth it. So high is the best bang for your buckaroo. Now, filtering is next, with the contact hardening costing almost 7% down to high, then around 4 to 5% per mode down from this to low, which can net you a similar 16% from the highest setting, meaning these two shadow settings combined can cost almost 33% of your performance and possibly more on weaker GPUs, such as the Steam Deck's Van Gogh GPU, making medium the target for a smooth 60fps update. PS4 or PS5 in its BC mode runs shadows close to medium or high, but the difference is so close I will lean on high here, but it has the low filtering setting which impacts the visual quality most. Now, level of detail is not as big overall, but can still cost, with the biggest hit being CPU time to the tune of almost 19% going from lowest to highest, and this could be the difference from a locked 60 or 120 FPS. Although it does impact GPU slightly, this setting will likely impact more CPUs, which includes my 5600X here. My advice is to set the middle ground here, which can be around 10%, but is still far higher than any of the other versions and looks great. Finally, resolution also has a big cost due to the sheer amount of overdraw geometry, and at 4K is very expensive on fill rate and ROP time. As such, just using FSR3 quality mode over native 4K is practically identical due to the more stable geometry and less reliance on modern sparse rendering, sub-pixel noise and that TAA ghosting artifacts. The basic texture details, lack of any in-surface maps and details all add up to practically free 25% performance gain, which can then give you sufficient GPU headroom to lock at your target refresh rate. Memory use is good, around 6GB of VRAM is used and approximately 3GB of system RAM buffer space is reserved. Loading is always significantly faster now, so no more DVD seat time waits here. Now, with a soft limit on this PC version at 144 FPS, it hits the standard high refresh rates of many a PC gamer that demand the smoothest play style. However, such an old title will not guarantee all can lock to that and even hit it. Once we start testing, we can see the game can bounce between GPU and CPU bound during play on my RX 6800 GPU and 5600X CPU. The cost of the potential emulation layer running under the hood in this DX12 built PC release may be a contributing factor on why this occurs, but whenever we have more AI scripted sections, towns with NPC states travel through the world, we can become limited by the CPU on this machine. Largely, two main worker threads manage the rendering and game logic tasks, but it may also be limited by memory access and such. Then, when in long views, overdraw, alpha effects and high quality shadow rendering, we do become more GPU limited at native 4K on this machine. Now, you can limit these moments by enabling FSR3 quality, a base 1440p render upscaled, or using the other options including DRS, which can be set as you want in the menu. This leaves you with better performance, but unless you have a high-end CPU like the 5800X3D or 7800 and upwards, you may still hit a wall at points around or under 100 FPS. I also noted some odd behaviour. The game locks to a 60 FPS cap, even when outputting at 120 or 144 FPS with settings maxed out, but enabling buffered frame resolves this, as does disabling VSync or dropping all settings down to low, which is the baseline from the Xbox 360 version that this is based on. Now, the X360 really stands up well here, with it being the best version of that generation and the basis for all of these ports.
And I'm the Queen of England.
The Valve handheld puts in a great showing here. A close lock to 60 is possible with better settings than even the PS5 BC mode. High shadows with contact hardening and a mix of object tree and grass lod looks excellent on the 800p screen. Using FSR3 balance or quality if you can does cause some shimmer, but in general looks great and plays superbly well on the go. Streaming data, high NPC counts can cause momentary stutters and spikes, and sub 60 FPS dips never often enough to be a big distraction, and it manages to exceed expectations while showing how good the game still looks on the small screen and how demanding pixel counts are above anything else. A great way to play for sure, and aside the hassle of the Rockstar loader also required, it's a very console-like experience and a huge improvement on that Switch version. Although it's been a very long time coming, the PC release is by far the best way to play this classic. The quality of life increases offered are very good, considering the lack of source code to work with, relying on an emulation or other translation layer it seems. The team have used a great deal of ingenuity to improve image stability, performance and quality within those heavy constraints. The Steam Deck provides the best mobile experience that trumps last year's Switch and even PS4 ports. The upgrades are not transformative, again as I said then, a remake using the Red Dead 2 engine would be a revelation and certainly worth a few dollars more. But limited horsepower enhancements aside, this is still a deep, dynamic and above all fun tale to re-enjoy more time in the saddle, and it finally hits the PC market. And that's it for all things PC, console and Western related. Remember, if you like what we do here on IGN Performance Reviews, then keep it IGN, and we'll catch you on the next one.
You must be John Marston.
Sometimes.
I'm Jake. Your friends from Blackwater hired me to guide you.